There is a two-party monarchy and a three-party dialectic within the space that Maplestory and Nexon take up. These operating systems are both in priority restraining order and in priority confinement with the navigation of the party. So the two-party system of the monarchy there would be in liberals versus fundamentalists. So liberals and fundamentalists have the restraining order that deny them the speech rights of conservative party members. So conservative party members are an advanced group that do not restrain but actually operate by the rules of such operating systems that are actually liberal in consent. And then this leads to a group of Republicans taking up that mantle as if it was a motif of concerning to who gets to have the monopoly. And monopolies are concession to the bearing of fruit. So fruit is actually how these people operate by because they're actually lodged within a state that opens up broadly. So these broadening perspectives are transformer to how each part of a transformer operates, which was the core, the biscuit, and the wiring. So if a core is opened, not only does the biscuit turn into a right wing biscuit, the right wing biscuit is turned into a left wing union. So the left wing union replaces the biscuit and becomes a core again. So cores are operational to how the first monarchist party called the Liberals formed. The core is the manifesto of how each party denies the credibility of who gets to rule under the Senate. So senators are illegal here, but they are also dismissible to functionality. Functionality are the matrix they operate to keep people contained within a market and a network. So if a network is classified, not only does the market impact who gets to have a refusal to invent a new party, the new parties of each conservative are actually part of the right wing party again, which means there's a revolution going. So revolutionaries in this party believe that the biscuit is actually a money system, which means right wingers are actually not right wingers, but left wing unionists. And these left wing unionists during revolutionary times are the second monarchical party, which is called the fundamentalists. And fundamentalists believe that the capacity of each person is given to them by a hierarchy. And a hierarchical order maintains itself by operating in deceit. So, deception happens when a party keeps the resources away from the rest of the party. They have capacitors of reservation, yes, but they also use diodes to arrange these capacitors which is called um the the manifesto of the liberal, the Manchurian, and the Christo party. So under these parties, there is a unionization that happens on a top level of capacitance. Because capacitance has to take place all at once rather than separately, the democracy forms as if it's a level rather than a unit. So there are levels upon levels of how these capacitors operate on one another, but they do not operate in sequence. They operate to residually transform the environment. And this leads to the diodes they're under to repel these systems and form something called a managerial state. So, under the managerial state, there is a party called totalitarianism. So, totalitarianism is a first order priority restraining order. So, these restraining orders are supplemented and given out, but they do not achieve a maximal velocity. They achieve conceit to acceleration. So they pretend to be an accelerating learning device. So not only does this allow for dependency tickets on the Liberal Party, they do not intersect with the rest of the party at all. They are separatist. So then there's the independent party, which is believing that one should live up to one's standard. So if an independent party is manifesto to the Manchurian Party, not only does the manifesto allow for sublets to occur on a server, these reading devices are actually profile and tablet to who gets to have lenses of true inspiration. So these lenses of inspiration are actually how democracies function to keep Secret Service in line by making sure that the brain is operating at maximal capacity, which is to take advantage of the horns of the devil that they bear. So they believe that they are the animals and the animals are their nature. So there's also the um, Democratic Party, which believes that they are the troops of the unit, which means they don't accept the party, but they believe the party is part of the profile they conceive of. They operate substandardly to who gets to have each part of the ticket. So if they substandardize, not only does this water down their assets, it means that they are no longer monsters, but are in fact environments. So there are places we put these people rather than monsters, and those places are called quarantine. So under quarantine, a map is created to sequence who gets to have each part of the party, which is to turn it into a manifesto. And these manifestos are given out based upon who is the right person for the job and who has the right ticket to ascend class. And this is how the fruit of the Conservative Party is manifested by allowing for the biscuit to have total reach over the society, which is to have a core envelop it, and then the people seismographically sewn into it. So this is how a Republican confronts speech rights in a public setting. Because the Republicans still believe that they are demonstrable evils here because they are moderators. So if a Republican does not agree to accepting a biscuit, not only does their safety become part of the missionary statement, the missionary statement is to keep the biscuit alive rather than them. So not only is it a artifice, it is an injunction to remove life. So not only is this the living truth, this is the living truth of the Nexon logo, which is to keep Sharingan in charge. Sharingan would be a misanthropy device here, which means it indulges people to remove their rights. It allows for people to speak against a system that does not platform them and allows for them to have missionary statements based on a Nazi sigil. So under these sigils, they format the lifestyle of the church, which means they live under it. And living under the church is actually the only way into it. Since they are actual confrontations of the party, not only do they have the ability to discuss moderation, they don't technically have the right to remove anyone's Sharingan. They have the right to dismiss them as credit reporters on a missionary statement. So not only does the statement get sealed into their party, if you do not have the right seals, you get disproven completely. And this is called capitalism. Capitalism is when there's a single party system here. It is actually part of the monolithic party of the liberals, where the liberals get to inherit the throne and dismiss their subjects. And subjects are the vice grip of the biscuit and the capacitor waging war to keep the people in line. So this is how the arms of the state compromise with the party of democracies of Christ, because the Christos is the party that allows for these people to confer their agreement. So intermittent to these things are also the ritualization and the commonplace discussion of the passing of exams. And exam periods are when special parties are given privileges to Nexon's logo, which would be called the forensic libel of Christianity. So Christianity would be based on something called a missionary that denies them the ability to host and graduate a, a gyro. And these gyros are the statement that allows the biscuit to confer the capacitor into a unit, which would be called light bulb theory. And light bulb theory is enlightenment values being percussion to single values that percose and preclude the state from allowing people in. And allowing people in would be called a wick that destroys the ability to manifest consciousness, which allows the gyro to be a single party.